Dynamic entrance kicking in the door like that. Turn up to the max, shooting energy up to the sky. Tap into the station 935, it's time to rock. Swooshy color backgrounds just to let you know we fly. Undefeated, never beaten, cause we got the skills. Striking all this black gold, you would think we had a drill. We got what you need, homie, so come and get your fill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill. It's time to anime and chill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill. Alright, what's up, man? We are back with another episode of Anime and Chill. You are kicking it with your favorite two N-words, the biggest anime nerds. We can say it, you can't. What's going on, man?
Oh, another day, you know what I'm saying? I'm here to talk about some anime news, and, you know, a little this, a little that.
Yeah, man, you said you wanted to get into some Resident Evil. We're going to get into a little bit of that a little later on. I do want to talk about the new joint that's out, Jupiter's Legacy. That one, I watched the whole series. I know you haven't gotten into it just yet, but
so you watched the whole series already?
Yeah, it's only 8 episodes, I think.
Damn, so
yeah. But
yeah, I'm gonna have to get into that, man.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but I wanted to start off with what's going on with Kanye being seen out with Candace Owens.
Bro, I don't know. I was just on Facebook and the picture was there. I don't have any specifics on it yet, bro.
Right, like, because the caption said, no, he is not. Like, you better not. Like, dude. But then again, why shouldn't he better not? It's like, you've seen this all the time where the young black man struggles and the black woman stays by him, and then once he gets his fame and fortune, they say he leaves her for the white girl. Well, in this case, it's kind of reversed. Well, not so much reversed, because he was successful when he met Kim Kardashian. But the point being that if this is what it looks like, I'm not going to say it is anything, but if it is what it looks like, then yeah, he just left a white girl for the black girl. And, you know, we finna hear a lot of black girls unite around that shit.
Probably. Hey, it was either her or Azealia Banks.
He wasn't going with no goddamn Azealia Banks.
Man, look, anything possible.
Bruh, she is too sensitive. We seen what happened when, DC Young Fly roasted her. He didn't even really roast her that bad. So if your feelings are that superficial, dealing with a guy like Kanye, who's already, you know, that nigga's 2 sheets to the wind.
Well, look, Kanye would have told her he ain't got all the answers.
You don't have all the answers, Sway. You don't have all the answers.
Still tripping about that, like, nigga. How was you feeling when you got out of bed that morning? Like,
right.
You talk about the wrong side of the bed. This nigga got on the wrong side of the
room,
penthouse.
nigga. Fuck that.
Fuck? Like, that nigga was mad about something, bro.
But yeah, nah. Let's start this out kind of right. I want to talk about this Jupiter's Legacy. If I'm not gonna do any real spoilers, because like I said, my partner hasn't seen it yet, even though this motherfucker almost spoiled it for himself, about spoiled the whole damn series for himself. Like,
I don't know, it was just on there. The picture I saw said, oh, let me press that and see what the fuck that is.
Right, and at first, it took me a minute to figure out, because I'm listening to the scene play out. And when I heard the name Black Star, I was like, okay, I know that's Jupiter's Legacy, because that's like the main villain that they talk about. And so I'm trying to listen to what part it is. I'm like, because if you early enough, I'll let you watch the clip and I won't say nothing. But from that point, from what I heard, I was like, yeah, no, dude, you finna blow the lid off the whole joint.
Yeah, so appreciate you stopping me. Appreciate you stopping me because I ain't gonna have to check that out, man. I'm glad to check that out from the little bit that I was watching. From the little bit I was watching, that shit looked like it was about to be, that new next shit. So
I mean, what it is it's a superhero series. For those who haven't got a chance to peek at it, it's a series about superheroes, and it's a take on the Justice League. And I mean, it's a good way to do it, but The Boys did it better. And what I mean by The Boys, I mean the series The Boys on HBO Max. They did it better. They made it not so much more realistic, but they delved into the issues a little more. You see what I'm saying? Especially with the deaths and stuff like that. With this one, the way they kind of got around that was Josh Duhamel's character, who's known as Utopian. He was so much, we gotta live by the code. And what they mean by the code is superheroes don't kill. That was their one code. We don't kill. And that code gets tested because you put that code that they developed in the 1930s to what's going on in the world today in 2020 and in 2021, and that shit don't hold water. And then his kids gotta deal with it. And I'm definitely gonna get started on his kids. His daughter, who is played by Elena Kampouris, she makes me scared to have a daughter. And I say that because if you think of all of the wild and crazy shit that society tells women that they can do, this bitch does it. On top of that, she has superpowers. She says she doesn't want them, that she doesn't like them, she can't stand them. She has daddy issues, like major freaking daddy issues. But I don't like her character because she's a brat. And what I mean by that is in the beginning, they show you, the very first scene they show you is her and her brother playing with one of their friends. They're running around in the park, they got capes on, and they're pretending to be superheroes and this, that, and the third. And you know how when you little and you playing superheroes and you fighting with your friends and you shooting imaginary weapons and you pew pew, I got you, and they, no you didn't. You know how that goes. Well, they went into that. Except with this little girl, that shit became toxic. And I know you probably think, how did it become toxic? Okay, so they took this normal interaction between two kids. There's, I got you, no you didn't. And then one of them either hits the other or whatever. So, in this case, being that this little girl has superpowers, she gets angry. And it's like, the little boy that she's chasing, and I got you. He said, no, you didn't. After a while, he's fucking with her. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Not so much that he don't, well, you didn't get me. No, we're pretending. I just don't want to admit that you got me. So, like a little kid, she gets angry. Only difference is her superpower comes out. And she screams and lets off this sonic blast that about blew that little boy across the street. Then you meet her dad, who is this version of Superman, and they call him the Utopian. This motherfucker lands down, and you're thinking that he's gonna try to break up this fight between two kids just to show how wholesome and Superman-esque he is. Then you come to find out, no, that's his kid. And she's like, but daddy, we were playing and I got him. And he's like, look, you can't always, get upset and this, that, and the third. And he's trying to calm her down. And he's like, look, it's all about people. As a superhero, we deal with people. You know what I mean? And he was like, we saved the good people. And she was like, yeah, and then you killed the bad people. He's like, no, because the bad guys are people too. We arrest them and we take them in. And so that's where they introduce the code to you. But that's also where they introduce this little girl's daddy issues. Because he's like, okay, so we gonna go for ice cream. Her and her brother, yay. And then all of a sudden he hears somebody screaming from across the damn city. And like Superman, I gotta go. Poof. This motherfucker takes off. So they show the little girl's anger build when he starts to take off. And so when she grows up, that shit manifests into a bratty teenager with daddy issues. And she just comes across as annoying and just like, ugh, I understand your dad wasn't there for you, but then you look at your brother, who's played by Andrew Horton, and he was just the complete opposite. This motherfucker was the emo kid who's always trying to impress daddy and this, that, and the third. But he's struggling with the fact that he doesn't believe in the code anymore. And he's trying to deal with the fact that as a superhero in this day and age, he has to make his own way, but he's also trying to live up to his father's legacy, trying to follow in his daddy's footsteps. And hold on, let me see if I can find this guy's name, the superhero name that they got him for a year, the Paragon. And it's like the first scene they show him in as a superhero, he gets his ass whooped. And I mean, like, convincingly gets his ass whooped by a girl. And the first woman that they showed, when they showed her beating his ass, I thought, okay, that's gonna be his sister. And they gonna show how his sister was so angry at her dad that she grew up to be a villain. And they gonna give his sister a real deep backstory and this, that, nope. That wasn't his sister. That was just some villain who showed up to kick his ass so that daddy could come in and save him and kind of admonish him for not being the superhero he should be. But where it really takes off is the fight against Black Star. That's why I said when you were playing the clip and I heard the name Black Star, I wanted to make sure that you were that you weren't at a certain point, which you were. But the fight with Black Star, where Black Star literally fights all of the fucking heroes, and he is thrashing them. The shit looks like Darkseid versus the Justice League. Yeah. That's how good that scene was.
Now, oh buddy, he looked like Darkseid too.
Yes,
like I noticed
Black
that.
Star.
Like, they really took from that model.
Bruh, DC gonna sue somebody. Yeah. That's all I got to say. DC is gonna sue some goddamn body. But so the fight with Black Star, and Black Star is just demolishing all the heroes, like left and right, picking motherfuckers up, hitting other motherfuckers with that motherfucker. And so it's like, yo, this shit is crazy. So it gets to a point where he has the Utopian pinned down. And so the piece on his chest starts to go nuclear. Like he starts charging up this nuclear energy. And the sun has to come in and save the day. I'm not gonna tell you how he did it, because you gotta go and watch that scene. That scene is just dope. But suffice it to say, Paragon comes in and saves the day at the expense of the code. And so instead of his father being proud and thank you, son, you saved my life, he looks at him like just disappointed, like, what have you done? Like, but I made a choice. And so for the rest of the season, he's like in this emo mode of, I want to impress my dad. I saved my dad and he's not impressed, and I want to impress my dad. And it's like, dude, between your sister being a brat and you being a punk, it's like, oh my God, man. But when they give you the backstory of how these characters got their powers, like the Utopian and the original six, it was 6 of them that they call the Majors. When they go into the backstory of how they got their powers, that's kind of more interesting than the shit that they got going as far as like dealing with the code and this, that, and the third, because they turn that into almost like a treasure hunt mystery. You see what I'm saying? And so when they finally get to the destination that they gotta go to, it's like, oh wow. But then they shortchange you and they give it to you like, it's like, okay, they made it to the destination, but we're at the end of our season, so we gotta kind of wrap this up. So we can't show you exactly how they got their powers. Just know they got their powers. And so it's like, oh, okay. I accept that because I've seen what they've been doing with their powers, but it's kind of a letdown because you build us up to this one part, and the one thing we want to see, that's the one thing y'all go, yeah, we ran out of time.
Yeah.
But
how cruel and unusual.
Like punishment. But I digress, man. Let's get into some Resident Evil 8. What's going on with that?
Alright, so I'm a giant Resident Evil fan. I'm so much a Resident Evil fan, I will accept the movies to a certain extent. But I've played them all except for the little side games, but I've watched the lore and all of that and gameplay and all of that. And it's really interesting how they all, connect with the main storyline. But recently, I have been blessed to play Resident Evil 8. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. I actually pre-ordered it 2 days early and was trying to play it 2 days early. And
like you do.
Right. And I wasn't able to play it, but man, when it finally dropped and I was able to play it non-stop, I'm probably gonna play the game 10 more times. I've already beaten it once, and it's fucking awesome. It picks up from Resident Evil 7. You play with Ethan Winters, the same character that you played with in 7, and it gets deeper into what he's all about and why his family is so important. But it was different. It picked up. It kind of gave you the sense of Resident Evil 4. In Resident Evil 4, they put Leon Kennedy in a village, and complete strangers to the village, and everyone in that village is infected. Therefore, they all try to kill him while he's in this village, and he's looking for the president's daughter who was kidnapped by a former associate of his. But they kind of brought that back for you. They put your character in the middle of a village, and this village is actually in the middle of attack from lichens and things of that nature. And I thought that shit was bananas. I'm like, all right, you guys went from the zombies to bioweapons, and I say that because the zombies before, the T-virus zombies, they're just, cannibalistic zombies. That's the only thing that they're good for is movement and chewing. But then you have bioweapons, monsters, if you will, who could actually take command and all that good shit. But in this one, they gave us lichens, the whole werewolves and vampires lore with a little bit of Bram Stoker's Dracula, Frankenstein. It was actually a nice little throwback as far as monster joints if you really pay attention to it. But one of my favorite shits about the game is the inventory space. they give you a shit ton of inventory space. So I had like 6 guns up in there. And had enough space for all the ammo.
Oh wow!
Grenades, landmines, even
so you run around with a mini arsenal.
Bruh, a mini arsenal is an understatement. Like, you run into a Duke, and the Duke is your merchant. You buy and sell and trade with him. And bruh, at certain points in the game, new guns become available. You could upgrade these guns. As a matter of fact, right now I've already beaten it once. I beat it the first time just to play through the story, which was pretty interesting, especially the ending. But now I'm playing it again because now I'm doing a little bit more exploring than I used to. I'm actually looking through and making sure I don't forget nothing.
Slow down and take your time.
Right, because I done already beat it now, so I'm not so much worried about it. And on top of that, I get to go through the story mode again with the same guns that I had in the previous game, so I don't have to start completely over from scratch, which I think is fucking amazing. But I don't want to spoil it too much because I know there's some people out there who probably ain't played it. But the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm thinking, you know what, fuck that. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and knock that whole cup of milk over. But man, let me tell you, Lady Demiscu, the one who I want to say she promoted the game.
For those that are listening, that's the big tall bitch.
She promoted the game, but it was such a shocker to find out she wasn't the main boss. That right there, I ain't gonna lie, that kind of killed me, but it was alright. But yeah, she's not even the main boss, but they have her on some
That's
tyrant.
Crazy though.
They have her on some Mr. X type shit.
The way they made her almost like the face of the game.
She was slick the face of the game. And you would think that.
Right.
But come to find out she was just a pawn. But they have her on some straight Mr. X type shit. It gets to a certain point where you fight her daughters. And when you kill one, you're walking through and you hear her saying, "No, he didn't kill my daughter."
Right.
And from that point on, she's walking through her castle looking for you.
Oh.
Yes, and when she finds you, bro, that shit, it and it's in first person, so it gives you that scare, especially when you're walking into a door and it's the same door that she happens to be getting ready to walk out of.
Right.
Bro, that shit is crazy, because then you see her duck her head to get over. Bruh, let me tell you. And then she starts chasing you, and yo, that shit is bananas. And then the bosses in the game, you have the 4, I would say they're the 4 underbosses, and then you have Mother Miranda, who's the boss.
Got you.
But you have little bosses under these underbosses.
Right.
So it's like, yo, they throw enemy
like
after
lieutenants.
Bruh, yes. Giant Lycans, Heisenberg. This dude, he fucks with magnetic fields. He's taken humans and have put machinery on them. They're walking around the factory like Terminators.
Because he's controlling the metal.
Bruh, the shit is bananas. And then he has this one dude, his ultimate creation, that has a helicopter blade on the front of him.
Stop it.
Stop playing. And you get trapped in a room with this nigga.
Oh, hell no.
Bruh, let me tell you, that game had me up, but it had me in tune, and I was in it. So I finally beat it, and come to find out your main character dies. So for those listening, that's the end of Ethan Winters.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Oops, I spilled that. Let me get that up. But yeah, Ethan dies. Tough noogies. He actually dies twice in this game. He dies twice. Mother Miranda kills you one time, and then that's when he has this dream to find out that he's in fact a mold. He's not even human.
Talk to me about Mother Miranda.
Well, Mother Miranda, you can say Mother Miranda is a mother trying to reunite with her daughter. When you put it in the layman's terms, that's what it is. She's supposedly immortal, has been alive for a long time, hundreds of years. Her daughter died during the Spanish flu. So she has spent the last hundreds of years trying to find a vessel to bring her daughter back into the world of the living. So her daughter's dead, and she's having a moment, and she runs off in this cave, and she plans on killing herself. Just then, she comes across this organism, and it's later called the Metamycete. She touches this organism, and it endows her with knowledge and power. And not only does it give her that, it gives her let's say the Megamycete was a flower and it's passing out buds.
Right.
It's passing her out these they're called I believe they're called mutamucites or something like that. I don't know, I probably just chopped that all the fuck up. But they later translated to the Cadeau. And the Cadeau is actually the means of infection. It's the organism that she's giving to villagers that she's kidnapping from the village.
And this was the village that they showed you in 4?
No. The village that she starts her experiments in is the village that you play in.
Got you.
And she starts kidnapping villagers from the village and implanting them with this Cadeau and observing their transformation. And if they're good, she'll keep them for observation, and if they're not, they either turn into a lichen or they die. And in her doing this process, she came across 4 of what she would now call her children. Lord Moreau, a woman named Donna. She's like dressed in like some nun type shit, and she carries around this little doll. And the little doll, her father made her name Angie, and the doll is the one that does the talking.
Right.
Lady Dimitrescu and Heisenberg. So those 4 were test subjects that actually passed. They weren't fit vessels that she was looking for, but as far as stability and the cognitive skills, as far as being injected with the Cadeau, they passed, and
they were able to withstand the disease.
Yeah, and so develop powers.
Okay.
So I mean, that shit was dope. That whole little sneaky lore that they tried to go into, they tried to mix some of that. It's a monster mash in there. It was dope. You fight lichens. I mean, I'm talking about, there's a couple times where you're overrun by the motherfuckers and you have to run around the village and try to survive. That shit is, man, that's dope. You talk about a thriller, and then the whole thing takes place like outside.
Yeah. So that's even more scary, and more possibilities for something to get at you.
And then another interesting tidbit. There's a part in the game where you get to like this dungeon, and you're attacked by these zombie like motherfuckers. And then there's a part where you get into the castle. You're scaling the castle, and there are these flying monsters. They're like half humans, half flies. Those 2 types of monsters were all women. Like, and I was watching some shit on YouTube, and they were talking about, I believe they were talking about the history of, or the lore of Lady Dimitrescu, and yeah, come to find out, the flying monsters and like the old zombified monsters that had the scythes in this dungeon, they were all women. And I think that was because I guess it was like mostly maidens who walked around the place. Right. I don't think they really had a lot of men, because the daughters, when they meet Ethan, they call him a man thing. So they don't really, I'm assuming they don't really know what a man looks like, what a man is really. So that was interesting to find out.
Amazon Lily in One Piece, when they didn't know what Luffy was.
Right. But I think it's safe to say that all the lichens were men, because they all had on pants. whenever I ran into them. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. But and I am so glad and relieved that Chris Redfield is not a bad guy. That was also
for the Chris
cloudy.
Redfield fans out there, you can breathe easy.
Yes, you can breathe easy. My man is still on the good side, down since day one. Since the first Resident Evil, he's been down in it and fighting a good fight, and he is still that good guy that we could look up to. Like I said, once again, the commercials and the previews had you think that, this man had turned finally. I slick thought he might have been a werewolf at one time. They don him in all black. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really look like he's here to help, but thank God my man Chris Redfield is still on the good side. You actually get to play with him a little bit. And I could definitely dig that because they always get Chris Redfield the dopest weapons.
Yeah.
So assault rifles, grenades. I had this one. It's that little military tracking joint where you take that little laser beam and you point it at something, and then a missile comes down, bro.
What is that, like a scarab laser?
Something like that. I'm not 100% sure what the name of it is, but it's fucking dope. And I was definitely using that to obliterate enemies. But I'm gonna go ahead and spill this cup of milk one more time. At the end, there is a little movie at the end, and it's of his daughter. She's now a teenager. She's talking about exams, so I'm assuming she's getting ready to go from high school to college. If not, finishing high school at least. But if she's Ethan's daughter and Ethan wasn't human, then I guess you could fill in the rest of that blank.
Then she's not human.
Exactly. Either. So they teased a little something about that. She got a little phone call saying that they need her. So that was a little cliffhanger right there at the end. And come to find out, this is the second movie in the trilogy. If you've played it through and watched all the way through the credits, then you see at the end a little sentence comes up and it says, "The father's story is done." So expect some more, because I'm expecting some more, and we're probably going to get a chance to play with Rose. And if that's the case, there'll probably be some powers in this game, maybe 1 or 2 guns. But if Rose is really what they lead her on to be, then this next Resident Evil 9 or whatever they're going to call it is going to be motherfucking fire. And I can't wait. When I get to the crib, I'm getting on some Resident Evil 8. As a matter of fact, so don't even play. And I'm working on infinite ammo and all of that shit, because they let you get all that shit,
right?
Infinite ammo for guns and all that. So I'm actually working on all that.
But you gotta beat the game under certain
you gotta do that
pretenses
shit,
and stuff
and
like
all
that.
Extra shit. You know how they do. They don't make that shit easy.
Nope, nothing that's worth it ever does come easy.
Yeah, but all in all, man. Classic Resident Evil, scary. I suggest if you really want the full thrill of that, play that game at nighttime. Play that
That's
game
how
at
all
nighttime
them games
in a
are,
room
that and Silent
by
Hill
yourself.
and all that stuff.
Right. But yeah, man, that shit.
Yeah, it's crazy that they mentioned lichens in that game. See, the first time I heard the term lichen was when I was watching Underworld, and that to me is like the only good vampire movie, like outside of the old black and white ones. And I say that because them Twilight films wasn't doing it for me.
Well, I
that shit was more one of them young adult movies, and no.
That was they were trying for the 99 2000 with that one.
Tried too hard. Tell them to back that ass up.
That up.
They need to back that ass up with that one.
Man, yo, Blade was alright.
Yeah, and see the thing about Blade is, as much as that was about vampires, I counted that more.
As a vampire hunter joint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a vampire hunter movie. Because it was about Blade being the only vampire that could walk in the daytime. And it was like he's hunting down these actual vampires that are trying to figure out how the hell he does what he does so they can do what he do and they can start attacking people during broad daylight.
Now, all right. If we got multiple vampire movies out there, but we really don't have a solid
werewolf movie. I mean, you got Wolfman, and then you've got the reboot of Wolfman, but again, it's not too many of them that focus solely on werewolves. It's like we only get werewolves as a subsidiary of vampires. It's like you can't have the werewolves without the vampires, but we can give you the vampires without the werewolves. And I'm like, but my thing is, well, maybe that's just because I'm more canine based. I'm more of a dog person. And when you dealing with werewolves, like I remember when Underworld first came out. When it first dropped, me and my brother, we was going to see it. And at that time, it was like me and him liked all the same movies. We liked everything the same, this and the third. So when we went to go see it, we were so excited. And yeah, man, we going to see that Underworld, man. Throw your V cards up, I was like, what? No. I'm throwing up W's for them werewolves.
I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking with them vampires for a second. I fuck with them vampires, man.
And then when you see the story behind Underworld, it's like, oh, well, yeah, no. The werewolves were actually the good guys in that one. It's like the vampires enslaved the werewolves, treated them like how white folks was treating niggas. And it was like, okay, now their numbers are depleted, but now they're getting to the point that they're stronger than ever. So they're fewer in numbers, but stronger in power.
Yeah, now I'll give it. Now Underworld did tell a good story.
Yeah,
they told a really good story, and the movies were good enough to where it made you want to watch that next story.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it came to that, yeah.
I'll say the first two. 3 was kind of pushing.
Now was 3 the one with the giant lichen?
Yeah.
That she had to fight, and she ended up throwing a grenade in his stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lost track. Cause then
I think that was 3.
Which one was the rise of the lichen?
That was the prequel.
Well, yeah, I know, but it didn't come out.
It came third.
Okay.
That was the one that came out third.
Okay. But
technically, it was a prequel. So the 4th movie that came out was technically considered number 3. And that was the one that they said Michael had got away, and she's trying to find Michael, and then she finds her daughter, and her daughter's a hybrid, just like Michael was. And so what's happening is the vampires are not the vampires, the Corvinus, the god Corvinus. Come to find out, he's not dead. This motherfucker, the original vampire, Victor Corvinus, he wanted to take what's the name? Alice's daughter's blood, because he wanted to be a hybrid, because he was already technically immortal, but he wanted to be a hybrid because it would make him stronger. But he couldn't find, I guess, lichens that were strong enough to withstand his bite. So instead of trying to make other hybrids, I guess he decided to just make himself the hybrid. And his son was the giant wolf that they fought, which was Marcus's brother. No, it wasn't Marcus's brother, because Marcus's brother died in part 2. Yeah, the big white werewolf that Michael had to fight. No, Michael fought Marcus. Celine fought Marcus's brother.
Yeah, I can't think of his brother's name for shit right now.
Right? But
William.
yep, that's it. That's it. But yeah, so the story that they did, and like I said, the transformation that they had with the Lycans themselves, and just the word Lycan instead of werewolf, I don't know, it just sounds better. Cause to hear werewolf, you think of the old cheesy Wolfman movies, and guy starts growing hair, his clothes start to rip, and he turns into a creature. And this shit, no. They show you these motherfuckers literally transform in front of you. And it's like, oh no. You see their bone structure change, all of that shit. They grow about 2 feet. It's like, Jesus.
Hey, now, the Wolfman with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, that was a reboot.
That shit went hard.
Yeah.
That shit went
Benicio
hard.
del Toro and
Like
Sir
Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
Bro, I could watch that shit. I could binge watch that shit back. That movie was dope. As far as
Again,
that
it
Wolfman
was
shit,
the story that they told.
yeah, that shit was dope.
And how they kept it vaguely, like you thinking the whole time he's the only Wolfman, only to find out, motherfucker, you get that shit from your daddy. That nigga was the original Wolfman.
But yeah, the lore that they put behind that was dope. Connecting them with the gypsies and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that shit, man. Look,
but now
That-
they
that
had a
was a
series
werewolf
that kind
movie.
of talked
That
about
was a
the
dope
Hemlock
werewolf.
Grove.
that was no Hemlock Grove. Now I've heard of Hemlock Grove. I tried to get into it, but I never
don't
really
think
got a
it's
chance.
on Netflix anymore. It might be, but I remember when Netflix was still in its early days, I watched Hemlock Grove. The first season is dope. The second season is and the third season is like, yeah, no, y'all just gave up. Y'all writers just stopped trying. That's what that was like. It suffered from terrible writing. And then on top of that, I guess it was losing money because some of the effects start looking a lot more cheap. And it's like,
Yeah, we're kind of done doing this.
it's like, hey, Frieza, looks like you dropped the ball. Dropped the ball. Dropped the ball. Like, straight up, man. But we not gonna stay here too much longer. Before we go, I do want to say, if you haven't got that Fly 93.5 app, go ahead and grab that. You can get it from your Google Play or your Apple App Store, wherever you get your apps from. Or if you can't catch us that way, you can get us online at radio.fly935.com. Go ahead and click that listen live button and check us out, man. You can catch us Thursdays. We usually go live at 6. Last week we had to push it, but we had a mix going that night too. So we gonna be back at our normal time this week. So, well, if you're listening at our normal time. Or whenever I decide to put this up. But nah, man, just cuddle up to your favorite person, throw on your favorite thing to watch, man. You know what time it is. Time to anime and chill. Let's get up out of here. Peace.
Dynamic entrance kicking in the door like that. Turn up to the max, shooting energy up to the sky. Tap into the station 935, it's time to rock. Swooshy color backgrounds just to let you know we fly. Undefeated, never beaten, cause we got the skills. Striking all this black gold, you would think we had a drill. We got what you need, homie, so come and get your fill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill. It's time to anime and chill. unwind, it's time to animate shit.